Remember, no one, and I mean no one, comes into our house and pushes us around.
What are we waiting for? Take it!
Jerry.
Well, we just don't have enough time for that.
Run Zeke. Up the middle, he's gone! Zeke's gone! Goodbye, Zeke! Touchdown!
They give it to Murray off the left side. This time he dives in. Marcus Allen style. Touchdown! Raiders!
This is Running Up the Score.
Play fake by Brady. Throw down the right side. There's a wide open receiver. Martellus Bennett past the 10 to the 5. But for the pylon. Reaching for a touchdown.
Oh, yes, that's right. It is Running Up the Score with Jerry Napoleonello. The number to call, 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. I want you guys to join in with the conversation. You can also tweet us at RUTS Sports. Go to our website, rutsports.weebly.com. It's another Wednesday. We're here. The 14th day of December. Christmas is coming soon. Hanukkah is coming soon. We have another outstanding show ahead of us. How about the Rams actually doing something beneficial for the team that I've been talking about for the last couple of weeks now? The Giants, unfortunately, have the Cowboys number. The only Cowboys losses this year have come to the Giants. And boy, do I have some hot takes when it comes to the Giants, and I have some hot takes when it comes to the Cowboys. There's big question marks when it comes to the Lions now, and there's one team that might be the most dangerous team in the NFL. We'll get into all of that, but first remember, as I said, join in the conversation through the next hour here by calling in at 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live, or tweet us at RUTS Sports. But first, there's a lot of things to get to, but first I want to get into the Rams firing Jeff Fisher. Wow. I did not see this coming, especially after extending Jeff Fisher about 8 days before they actually fired him. So that was a little head-scratching, and I don't understand why. But it's beneficial for the Rams now. Now, I don't know who they're going to go after now. Everybody's saying Jim Harbaugh. That's stupid. He's not leaving Michigan. I believe he won't leave Michigan until he wins a national title, so however long that might be. But he's got the life at Michigan. He played for Michigan. His father was part of Michigan as well. That he flew his family down, got a house. Just everything is Michigan for Jim Harbaugh. And I don't see him leaving there. Some may say he would leave there for maybe the Colts job because of having Andrew Luck there and having played for the Colts as well. But I just don't see him leaving. There's a couple of names that I think maybe the biggest name that I think would be up for the job is Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots. He obviously dabbled in head coaching with Denver. Didn't work out so well with him. So we'll see. He's doing a phenomenal job with the Patriots this year. So we'll see what happens when it comes to this job. But I think this all came down to the last couple of weeks. You had the whole Eric Dickerson thing. Then you go into last week and you have your star running back, which you did not like. You basically took the star away from your running back because what has Todd Gurley done this year? But Todd Gurley came out after the game this past week against Atlanta, where they gave up 42 points, and quick nugget there, the 49ers have scored 5 touchdowns in L.A. The Rams, The Rams have scored 5 touchdowns in L.A. this whole season. The Atlanta Falcons last week scored 6. It's sad. And Todd Gurley came out saying the offense looked like a middle school offense. So yeah, that whole thing went down. Jeff Fisher is gone, finally, and now they can move on. And they need to get a coach that will work well with Jared Goff and will bring him to his potential. And I think you have to bring in an offensive coach. So we'll see what happens. And I think Josh McDaniels might be the best for that. But there was a couple of things that went down over the week with. Especially the whole Broncos and Titans game with Harry Douglas going after Chris Harris's knee. Basically, outside of the play, and I have a few clips here from after the game, but to me, I thought it was an incredibly dirty play. And then I have what Aqib Talib feels about this.
It was a dirty play by a sorry player. He don't do nothing. He come to the game, don't catch no passes. He come to the game to chop guys from the back, and he got the same agent as me. So when I see his ass in that lane, I'm gonna beat his ass.
With a play like that, you saw Chris go down, and it turned out bad, but it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
I'm sure that really irritated.
Yeah, it don't matter how it went. He tried to do something dirty, so that's why I'm gonna beat his ass.
You're not worried about obviously fines, something like that type coming? Were you ready to get ejected at that point?
You can hear his PR guy in the background saying, basically trying to cut that as early as he can because of what Aqib Talib was saying. And then this is what Harry Douglas had to say.
Well, it's all just football. Everything football to me, you know what I'm saying? So it was a run play, and me and Chris was looking at one another in the face, and I cut block. It's not like he didn't see me. He was looking right at me. So, it is what it is. They got upset with it, but if they watch film and they watch me play, they know that's what I do. That's if they watch film, though.
Totally clean play by you.
It wasn't a dirty play. It's football, man. I love this game. I love the game of football. And a tough player, smart player. I love this game. Teammates believe in him. I believe in my teammates, and we got each other back 100%, no matter what the circumstances are.
Now, he's totally wrong with that. I mean, even if they were to watch film, and obviously they have, that's not something that you do all the time. That was dirty. First of all, the biggest play of this. Now, if they were a part of the play, then I would say, okay, whatever. But they were on the opposite side of the field where the play happened. So that's where the problem comes in, because you almost just ended the guy's season. That's the problem. And if he went for any other body part, as long as it's not the head, it would be all right. Then you get into a little scuffle, it's whatever. But you went for the guy's knee. Now, not only could that end his season, but that could potentially end his career depending on what you do, depending on how hard you hit him, depending on, what kind of injury he gets. Luckily, he went back into the game. But he could have ended Chris Harris's season. He could have potentially ended his career. The knee is not something to mess with when it comes to football. Just like the head is not something to mess with. And I'm going to get into, the safety of players, because there's something big that happened in yesterday's press conference, or Monday's press conference with the Seattle Seahawks, and I will play a clip for that. But to me, it was a dirty play, and there's no way that you can back that up. There's no way that you can back Harry Douglas up. So I'm all with Aqib Talib, maybe in different ways. I mean, him saying that they got the same agent, which they do, obviously, but him saying that he's going to beat his ass, that's, what can I say? But there was other, I guess, media fights between players, especially with the Browns and the Bengals game. And this is not the first time that a corner has come out and said something about Terrell Pryor, and it's in consecutive weeks. Janoris Jenkins said something about Terrell Pryor 2 weeks ago when the Giants played the Browns. He tweeted about it. I mean, it's basically, you would think that Janoris Jenkins was illiterate by the way basically what he said. So I'm not even really. I mean, the headline for the article that I was reading, and it was obviously a tweet by Janoris Jenkins, but he says, "You really sucks." So that's all you really need to know about what Janoris Jenkins said. Illiterate, yes. But this is what Pac-Man Jones felt about Terrell Pryor after the game and what he had to say in the locker room. It was quite funny.
I'm saying all this facades, all this fake hard that he play out on the field, that ain't Terrell Pryor. I checked his background. He's a suburbs kid from Pittsburgh.
I know you talked about it, Adam.
Garbage.
What did that start with for you, Terrell?
Garbage.
There you go, right there, bro. Oh, there you go. He right
Get him
there.
out of there. You see him in there? Okay.
Right there.
You better find him somebody to play with.
Is it him saying basically he could
Garbage.
against you?
Garbage.
All right, Adam. Aside from Terrell, how big is it for you?
Garbage. I ain't talking about nothing else. I'm happy we won.
All right, cool.
Terrell Pryor, garbage.
Yeah. So that's what Pac-Man Jones felt about Terrell Pryor. And, there's been a bunch of people that said that Terrell Pryor is a big trash talker on the field, which, that's part of the game. But, I don't know what – I think it's just funny what Pac-Man Jones had to say. So what can I say about that more? Ryan Tannehill and Matthew Stafford, big injuries this past week. Ryan Tannehill, I mean, at the end of the game, the Miami Dolphins were believing that he had a torn ACL and that his season was going to be over. It turned out that the next day, the MRI showed that he had a sprain of the ACL and MCL. He probably won't be in it this week, but there is potential that he could be in 2 weeks from now or, even the last game of the season. So we'll see what happens with the Miami Dolphins because they are kind of on the edge of making the playoffs. This is a big loss if he does miss the rest of the season for the Miami Dolphins. I mean, you're going to see Matt Moore in, I believe. I think he's the backup. But when it comes to the Lions now, and this is the team, and this is what I was saying before when I first came into the show, that there's big question marks when it comes to the Lions now. And now the Lions, I believe the rest of their schedule is the Giants this week. Obviously, I know that. The Giants is this week. The Cowboys are next week. And these are both away games for the Lions. So if this finger issue with Matthew Stafford hinders his play, the Lions are in trouble. And basically the Lions, they're going with Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is the Lions. There's nothing else that you could say about it because if it wasn't for Matthew Stafford, they wouldn't be in the spot they are right now. And I thought he was crazy when he first came out in the beginning of the season, actually even before the season started, that they were a better team without Calvin Johnson because I never thought that Matthew Stafford was that good of a quarterback. I thought he was a product of Calvin Johnson, and I've always said that. And I was wrong. And I will come out and say I was wrong about Matthew Stafford. He's having a great year, and it's sad to see the injury that happened with him. Dislocated middle finger on his throwing hand. He's got torn ligaments. I know how a dislocated finger feels. Trust me, the worst pain in your life. And even when Derek Carr did it a couple of weeks ago, he said the same thing. So I back these two up because I've had it happen. The worst feeling in the world. So, I mean, I didn't tear any ligaments, so I don't know how Matthew Stafford's feeling in that aspect. But, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens, especially this week because they'll be outdoors, obviously, playing the Giants. And trust me, I was there last week with the Cowboys and Giants game, and it was freezing. So we'll see what happens with that finger. He'll probably be wearing a glove. So the Lions definitely need this game. They definitely need this game. They got Dallas Monday night after this week, and then I believe they play the Green Bay Packers, but that game's probably going to be home. So this is the question marks that I was saying the Lions have going into the next 3 weeks of the season, the last 3 weeks. So, the way that this injury goes about, I mean, it hinders a bunch of teams now. Because now it's like, all right, the Packers, they have a chance, which I think they are. I think they're going to win the division. So now they have a chance to win the division, a better chance than they had. They're playing hot right now with the Packers. So, we'll see what happens with that. But now it has something to do with the Giants now, with a wild card, the Redskins. All these teams are just basically seeing what one middle finger will do when it comes with the Detroit Lions and Matthew Stafford. But when I get back from the break, I'm going to talk about the biggest mistake the Heisman winner this year, Lamar Jackson, made. And then I want to talk about LeBron James for tonight, and then a bunch of other things, especially Deflategate 2.0. You'll hear all of that when we get back. You're listening to Running Up the Score.
All Noise Radio, powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. All Noise Radio is an internet radio station that's fully produced by graduates of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. From modern rock to old school hip hop, country to classical, news, talk, sports, and more. It's the noise you can't ignore. Log on to allnoiseradio.com. Fire up the station. Find out more about your favorite jocks. Get the latest CSB news and more. Plus, you can take All Noise Radio with you on the go for free. Just download the Live 365 app to your iPhone, iPod Touch, or BlackBerry and search All Noise Radio. Check out tomorrow's broadcasters today at allnoiseradio.com. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Follow the NFL this season on Running Up the Score.
Cyberstation USA is the future of radio. Get your business into the online future at the world's largest internet radio station. From banner placement on our homepage to any of our broadcaster stages, commercials on our video player, audio spots on any of our shows, or at the beginning of any of our on-demand broadcasts. Cyberstation USA offers competitive rates with a worldwide reach. A fully integrated one-stop shop social media broadcast platform. For more information, please contact our sales department at cameo@cyberstationusa.com.
Come Santa Claus, come Santa Claus, down Santa Claus Lane.
Fred Claus.
His reindeer, run on the rain.
We are back, running up the score, 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. I want to hear what you guys think about all these topics that I'm bringing up. I also went into the break saying that Lamar Jackson, the Heisman winner, who we found out was the Heisman last Saturday, the biggest mistake he's made. Now, the biggest mistake that he's made is hanging out with Johnny Manziel. What are you thinking? The one guy that you should stay away from is Johnny Manziel, especially being a young kid that is aspiring to be a NFL quarterback, which in my mind, I don't think he's going to be that great of a quarterback. I think he's a great college quarterback, but I don't know if he's going to be a great NFL quarterback. But the one thing that you should not be doing when you want to get into the NFL, which he's going back, I believe, to play another year at Louisville, or Louisville, whatever these people say, the last thing that you want to do is hang out with Johnny Manziel. And I understand, you're taking pictures with them at the actual ceremony, blah, blah, blah. But when you take it back to the room, take it back to the hotel, and still hanging out with them, that's where you went way wrong. Way wrong. You should be going the opposite way of Johnny Manziel, no matter what. There's no reason why you should be with Johnny Manziel. Stay away from him, Lamar. Stay away from him. If you want anything good with your NFL career, stay away from Johnny Manziel and do the complete opposite of what he ever says or what he ever does. Stay away from him. He is a cancer. Now, moving on. This is a big thing that's been being talked about today is LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love will be benched tonight. Well, they're not being benched, but they're just giving a day off to these three on the road after on a back-to-back with Memphis. Now, the problem that I have with this, all right, there's 82 games in a season. You play 41 at home, 41 on the road. If you are going to give these players... Now, trust me, I don't like LeBron James. I never have. But he is a spectacle to see. He is someone that no matter what, if your team is playing that team, that's who you are going to see other than the players on your team. So if he comes into New York, goes into Madison Square Garden or the Barclays Center, there's a lot of people that are just going to go to see LeBron James play. It was the same thing with Michael Jordan. It was the same thing with Kobe Bryant. Trust me, I've gone to Madison Square Garden to watch Kobe play on numerous occasions. The ticket prices also go astronomical when they play these teams, because they know that they are going to get fans in the seats because LeBron James is coming, because Steph Curry is coming, because Kobe Bryant came, because Michael Jordan was coming. It just, that's what happens. You get, these teams get revenue from a player on another team because he is a star in the league. He is a spectacle to see. My opinion is don't have these guys rest on road games because you're ruining it for the fans. And I'm saying this as a fan, but I'm also, I understand where Tyronn Lue is coming from. I understand it. LeBron James is not young anymore. He's starting to get old. Kyrie Irving's got his issues. Kevin Love's got his issues. I understand that. You don't want to play him on a back-to-back. I understand that. That's what happens. That's what you do. Greg Popovich does it all the time. He used to do it all the time with Tony Parker, with Ginobili, with Tim Duncan. He used to do it all the time. I understand that. And they're trying to eliminate the back-to-backs for this. And you understand it because it happens in baseball. These seasons are definitely the longest. Well, obviously hockey is 82 games as well, but these games, these sports are the ones that, it's hard to play back-to-backs. It is a long season. It's hard to play back-to-backs, and I understand it. But as a fan, especially a fan of the opposing team of these players, and the fact that you spend all this money, because you know what? The games aren't cheap anymore. They're not. I spent $50 on parking when I went to the Cowboy-Giant game this past weekend. $50 on parking. So you understand how it feels to buy tickets in advance, obviously, because you have to get them in advance because everybody sees, oh, wow, the Cleveland Cavaliers are coming to town. Oh, wow, the Los Angeles Lakers are coming to town. Oh, wow, the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan are coming to town. So you have to get these in advance. Who knows that these players are going to be benched? And the biggest thing is they weren't even making the flight to the game. So tonight they won't be even on the bench for this game. So people spend all this money to go see LeBron James play, to go see the Cleveland Cavaliers play, and they're not even going to see LeBron James. They're not even going to see Kyrie Irving, and they're not even going to see Kevin Love on the last time that they are in Memphis. So that's my problem. If you are going to sit these guys, sit them at home. Don't sit them on the road. It's not fair. Certain teams, if you're not in the division, certain teams only play them once. Some teams don't even play them. I mean, most of the time they end up playing them, but I mean, it's more so in the NFL when, there's some seasons that you don't even play a team. But in the NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, you end up playing, if not all the teams, most of them. So I understand it, but they only come to town once. So, I don't agree with it. I agree with giving guys rest. I understand that. But not on the road. Don't do it on the road. It's not fair. There's too much money these games are. It's ridiculous. It's not like the old days. It's so hard to take a family of 4 to a sporting event because you have to save for a couple of months to even go. It's tough. It's tough. And I don't agree with them being benched on the road. Now, this is what I was talking about, the safety in the NFL. Richard Sherman publicly came out in the press conference. I believe it was Monday, but it might have been yesterday or I don't know. But obviously the Rams are playing the Seattle Seahawks Thursday night, and this is what Richard Sherman had to say about Thursday Night Football.
Poop fest. It's terrible. This is we played, freaking got home like 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that on Monday, and then you got to play again. I mean, congratulations, NFL. You did it again. What they've been doing it all season. So I guess we're the last ones to get the middle finger.
So a poop fest. He probably could have used better wording, but that's what he felt like. And then he was asked, where Thursday Night Football ranks with his discontent with the NFL. And this is what he had to say.
I mean, it's pretty high, but top five. Because it's just no regard. It's hypocritical, as I've stated before. They make this huge stance about player safety. Then you put the players in tremendous danger.
In a way, I'm with him on it. Just because I think this is becoming more of an issue now because the games aren't good. I mean, we had the 2 best games on Thursday night were last week with the Raiders and the Chiefs, and the week before that with the Cowboys and the Vikings. But right now, I mean, the Cowboys are just killing ratings everywhere they go. So hence, that is the reason why the Cowboys are on Sunday night this week. They're on Monday night next week. And depending on what's going on, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to check right now what the schedule, what for week 17, who has the Sunday night game or the Monday night game, because I would not be surprised if they put the Cowboys on primetime once again because because of what they've been doing with the ratings. And we'll find out right now. Let me see, week 17 and the Sunday night game. Actually, there is no Sunday night game. Wow. Yeah, there is no Sunday night game or Monday night game. So maybe that's why. Maybe they're gonna figure out what to flex for Sunday night and they don't have it yet. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see. And I wouldn't be surprised because the Cowboys are playing the Eagles. So I wouldn't be surprised depending on what's going on. Now, this is going to lead me into another thing with the Cowboys. If the Cowboys stumble against Tampa Bay, I'm going to let you know what I think should happen when we get back. You're listening to Running Up the Score.
Cameo Entertainment Group and Cyberstation USA are now part of Stitcher, a free radio app for your smartphone. With Stitcher, you can listen to live programming as well as archived radio programming right on your phone. To obtain Stitcher, just go to the App Store for your particular phone. Go to search, then type in Stitcher. That's Stitcher. S-T-I-T-C-H-E-R. S-T-I-T-C-H-E-R. Then download. It's that simple. Stitcher, a free radio app for your smartphone. Convenient access to live and archived Cyberstation USA programming on your mobile phone. That's Stitcher. S-T-I-T-C-H-E-R. Cyberstation USA. Always on the go.
Follow the NFL this season on Running Up the Score.
All Noise Radio. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. All Noise Radio is an internet radio station that's fully produced by graduates of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. From modern rock to old school hip hop, country to classical, news, talk, sports, and more. It's the noise you can't ignore. Log on to allnoiseradio.com. Fire up the station. Find out more about your favorite jocks. Get the latest CSB news and more. Plus, you can take All Noise Radio with you on the go for free. Just download the Live 365 app to your iPhone, iPod Touch, or BlackBerry and search All Noise Radio. Check out tomorrow's broadcasters today at allnoiseradio.com. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special.
We are back. Running Up the Score, 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. I want to hear what you guys have to say about these topics. And I went into the break saying, if the Cowboys stumble against Tampa Bay, and God forbid they lose, what they should do. And yes, everybody, I believe it is time for Tony Romo. And I know everybody's coming out saying that Dak Prescott is the guy, that they should never do that. But that is totally wrong. If you lose to Tampa Bay, it is time to move on. This team is too talented right now. This team is on a roll to let something like this ruin a potential great season. He choked against the Giants. This is not the first time, and I don't care what anybody says, this is not the first game that he's had a bad game. The first game against the Giants, I chalked it up to being the first NFL game of his career. I chalked it up to that. But he had a bad game against Pittsburgh. He had a bad game against Minnesota. He had a bad game against the Giants. Yes, the other games, he even had a bad game against Washington on Thanksgiving. And these games, they ended up winning. But the game against the Giants, that was the worst game I've ever seen from him this year. It was terrible. His throws were off. You can't blame this on Dez Bryant. You can't. Yes, he fumbled the ball. I understand that. Whatever. It happens. And I don't know. What people have to know, people have to understand with Dez Bryant. Yes, he's fast. Yes, he's strong. Yes, he can jump. He's not that wide receiver that's going to get separation like crazy. He's a guy that's going to out-jump his defender. He's a guy that's going to out-strength his defender. The reason why Romo and Dez were so successful because Romo threw to him no matter what. Dez Bryant is open no matter what, even if he's got one guy on him, two guys on him, three guys on him. During the Cowboy-Giant game, he had four guys on him. People have to really watch the tape to see what was going on. It wasn't that Dez Bryant couldn't get open. The guy had four guys on him. Other people have to get open. Where was Cole Beasley? Where was Terrence Williams? Where was Jason Witten? These guys have to get open. Dez Bryant can't do everything. And Dak Prescott is not the quarterback to throw to Dez Bryant when he's not clearly open. He's not a quarterback that is going to throw a wide receiver open. He's going to wait till he sees you open, and then he will throw it. This is the reason why I said Dez Bryant and Dak Prescott are not good together. Because he will not throw it to him. maybe down the road when Dak Prescott starts to, really get comfortable, really be confident in his arm, really be confident in his eyes, maybe he'll start to throw to Dez Bryant when he knows, when they get on the same page. And I know that they're somewhat on the same page right now. But when they get on the same page like Tony Romo and Dez Bryant were, it could be something special. But right now, if he stumbles against Tampa Bay, there's no way that you can wait and just hope that Dak Prescott will get it together. Because there is a chance that the Cowboys may not even win the division. And I know it's a long shot because the Cowboys would have to lose 2 of the next 3 games. And it could happen. Tampa Bay is a great team. Detroit Lions are a great team. Philadelphia will be looking to spoil somebody. So this is what I'm talking about. We're so close. Last week all we had to do was win the game, and we would have won the division, and we would have been, we would have probably locked down a bye. But it right now, it's just. It's tough to say, and I think it's time for Tony Romo. Out of all the plays, and I was looking over the splits when it comes to Dak Prescott. He has 31 plays that are over 21 yards. Over 20 yards. It's not good. They didn't even try to air it out. I think they had one play that they tried to air it out to Dez, and he ended up throwing a pick because it was a terrible throw. So, and another thing is the Cowboys just went away from their game plan. Why? You need to run the ball. Ezekiel Elliott still had 100 yards rushing. Over 100 yards. Then we also have the issue now with the walkie-talkies on the sideline. There was a picture tweeted out during the game that McAdoo was using a handheld device, which isn't controlled by the NFL. We had Troy Hughes of 105.3 The Fan in Dallas go on and report this Monday morning. An NFL employee is responsible for cutting off the in-helmet microphones when the play clock hits 15 seconds. With McAdoo on a walkie-talkie, the NFL wouldn't be able to control the communication. I don't know how this impacts the game. I don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to look into it. And this goes to other things. I was saying the Deflategate 2.0. The Giants brought 2 footballs to the NFL that came from the Pittsburgh sideline that were under the PSI. These 2 teams, they brought it to the NFL, but they're not going to do anything about it because of the relationship between Dan Rooney and John Mara, which is absolutely ridiculous. Why the New England Patriots and Tom Brady were suspended and fined, it's ridiculous, and it just goes to show the hate for the New England Patriots and Tom Brady. That's exactly what it shows. But it also goes with, Aaron Rodgers last year. Phil Simms was reporting last year that Rodgers admitted to them that he likes to overinflate game balls. I like to push the limits of how much air we can put in a football, even go over what they allow you to do. That's what he said. So these are things that I don't understand how they're not looked into. I want to see what happens with the walkie-talkie. There's nothing going to happen with the Pittsburgh Steelers and their deflated balls. But this is what Tom Brady had to say when he was asked about it. He said, it's really inconsequential to me. I really had to put my situation behind me a long time ago, and they'll decide whatever they want to do. That's their prerogative as a league. But for me, I got plenty of things that I have moved on from and I got to worry about. My job is football and playing well, and that's what my focus is, especially just before one of the biggest games of our season. So, you didn't really expect him to really say anything big about it, but we have some things to get into, like the picks and predictions of Week 15.
It's time for Running Up the Score. Picks and predictions for Week 15.
Yep, we are picking this week. Thursday Night Football, starting it off with the Rams at the Seahawks. Rams 4-9, coming in with their new interim head coach, John Fossil, the son of Jim Fossil. I'm going with the Seahawks in this one. If they were playing in LA, I would go with the Rams because the Rams just know how to beat the Seahawks at home. But I think the Seahawks being home, I think they, especially a short week with the new coach, I feel like the Seahawks will win this game. Then we have a Saturday Night Football game, first of the year. Jets playing the Dolphins in MetLife. Dolphins will be without Ryan Tannehill this week. And the Jets, they have a lot of things going on, especially Brandon Marshall. I think this is the one guy that the Jets have to move on from after this season, after Ryan Fitzpatrick, obviously. What he had to say about Bryce Petty winning the game was ridiculous. I'll have the comments for you. I don't have them in front of me right now, but I will have the comments for you. And even if I don't get them before the show is over, I will tweet them out. But I'm going to go with the Dolphins in the... you know what? I'm going to go with the Jets in this game. I'm going to give the Jets a little benefit of the doubt, especially the Dolphins being without Ryan Tannehill. I'm going to go with the Jets. Packers at the Bears. I think the Packers win this game. They are on a hot streak. And as I said in the beginning of the game, beginning of the show, that there's a team that is the most dangerous, and that is the Green Bay Packers. Not only because they got Aaron Rodgers, but because they're playing hot right now. So, yes, I'm going to go with the Packers. Jaguars at the Texans. Texans came up with a big win last week, and I'm going to pick them to win this game as well. Browns at the Bills. I think the Bills win this one. Browns go to 0-14. Eagles at the Ravens. I think the Ravens win this game. I think the Ravens, coming off a tough loss against the Patriots, I think that the Ravens come back and win this game against the Eagles. Titans at the Chiefs. The Chiefs win this game easy. Lions at the Giants. Now, this is probably one of the biggest games of the week, if not the biggest. Now, Lions obviously will have Stafford, but we'll see how that affects him. But I'm going to go with the Giants in this game because they're going to be at home. It's going to be cold, and I don't know how that finger is going to do well with Matt Stafford. So, yes, I'm going to pick the Giants in this one. Vikings playing the Colts at home. I think the Vikings win this game just because they're home, and the Colts have just been inconsistent this year. But you know what? The Colts still have a chance to win the division, but losing to the Texans last week was big. Steelers at the Bengals. I think the Steelers win this game. They're on some streak right now. Le'Veon Bell is putting himself into the MVP vote. So, yes, I'm going to go with the Steelers over the Bengals in Cincinnati. Saints at the Cardinals. I think the Saints win this game. I do. I think the Saints win this game. The Cardinals are just a different team. 49ers at the Falcons. I'm going to go with the Falcons in this one. Patriots at the Broncos. Great game, but I think the Patriots win this game. Raiders at the Chargers. The Chargers are always a tough team, no matter how good or bad their season is. But I'm going to pick the Raiders in this one. Sunday Night Football. Huge game. Buccaneers at the Cowboys. I will not be picking this game. Monday Night Football. Panthers at the Redskins. Redskins need this game, so I'm going to go with the Redskins in this one. And let me bring up the spreads of these games. But that Monday Night Football is a huge game for Washington if they want to stay in the whole picture. But we have here, let's see, we're going to go first with
It's time for Jerry and Kevin's Upset of the Week for Week 15.
Upset of the week. Let's see. Kansas City is a favorite. Green Bay is the favorite. I did pick the Jets, so yeah. You know what? I'll go with the Jets as the upset of the week. Miami's favored by 3. Now we have our lock of the week.
Running Up the Score presents the Lock of the Week for Week 15.
Now, lock of the week, I'm going to go with Seattle because I don't go by the spread. The spread in this game is Seattle 15. They are favored by 15 points. That is insane. So if we were going by the spread, I would obviously take the Rams. But my lock of the week is going to be the Seattle Seahawks Thursday night. And we have the running up the score fantasy forecast. When we get back, you're listening to Running Up the Score.
This is the evolution of radio.
Cyberstation USA.
Our inventions change us. They make us think differently.
Something new added to the real world.
The leading edge of evolution.
That development has got to be delivered.
CyberstationUSA.com.
The most sophisticated that I've ever seen.
I'm not sure exactly what the future is, but I'm pretty sure it's not going away.
Follow the NFL this season on Running Up the Score.
Connecticut School of Broadcasting founder Dick Robinson.
You know, the media business has changed a lot since we opened our doors in 1964. Now media content is everywhere. On air, online, on the go. More than ever, companies are looking for people to help drive this new media.
At Connecticut School of Broadcasting, you'll get hands-on training on the latest software and equipment in a matter of months, not years. Connecticut School of Broadcasting has placed thousands of grads in broadcast media careers.
It's all about versatility. You see, at a radio station, if you also know how to shoot, edit, and post videos, you become a pretty hot commodity. That's the training you get at Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Connecticut School of Broadcasting with locations up and down the East Coast from Massachusetts to Miami. Call 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to GoCSB.com. Connecticut School of Broadcasting, the nation's oldest and largest group of broadcast media schools. Redefining training in radio, TV, and new media. Get trained. Get connected. 1-800-TV-RADIO.
Fantasy, football, fantasy, 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 football, fantasy.
Like an end zone that ends in a waterfall.
A shower that showers you in tiny footballs.
It's a football fantasy like no other.
Like having a best friend that's your quarterback brother.
Fantasy, fantasy, football, fantasy, fantasy, fantasy.
Running Up the Score presents Fantasy Forecast.
Football and you like fantasy.
Fantasy forecast, everything you need to know for the upcoming week in the NFL when it comes to your fantasy teams, especially now because you're in the playoffs. And if you are actually playing this week, that means you have gone through your first week of playoffs. And that's me. I did pull one out because of Tom Brady on Monday night. Thank you, Tom. I got to get one of those hats. Those hats are nice. The Tom Brady hats. I kind of like it because I was watching the game the other night, and then John Gruden ended up putting it on when he was giving his Gruden grinder. So yeah, I think I like the hat. The hat is nice. It really is. But I did move on, and I hope you guys did too. But there is still daily fantasy, so you can take obviously what I say and turn it into your fantasy team for your daily. So yeah, I'm gonna give you the stardom situms for this week. And the quarterback position will start off with the start of the week. Matt Ryan against the San Francisco 49ers. Ryan, listed as a stardom last week, put up 21.5 fantasy points even without Julio Jones. Next on the schedule is a date with the 49ers, who have been awful against the pass this season. Prior to facing the likes of Matt Barkley and Bryce Petty, the Niners allowed an average of 22.7 points to 6 previous opposing quarterbacks. Also to start, Marcus Mariota against the Kansas City Chiefs, Kirk Cousins against the Carolina Panthers, Cam Newton against the Washington Redskins, Joe Flacco against the Philadelphia Eagles, and some sleepers to watch: Tyrod Taylor against the Browns and Colin Kaepernick against the Falcons. The sit of the week: Matthew Stafford against the Giants. Stafford has produced fewer than 17 fantasy points in 5 of his last 6 games, and now he'll have to wear a special glove after hurting his throwing hand last week. If that weren't bad enough to sit him, also keep in mind the Giants have allowed a 13 touchdown and second fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks, 12.8 points per game. They're not that good of a defense. Let me just tell you right now. The only reason why I'm saying they're a sit of the week, he's a sit of the week because of his finger, and it's going to be cold. The fact that people think that the Giants' defense is good is they're sadly mistaken. They really are sadly mistaken. They didn't do anything special against the Dallas Cowboys. And I teased it yesterday that I was going to have some hot takes about the Giants. I don't think they're that good. I don't think their defense is that good. Their offense definitely isn't that good. Their offense is one player, Odell Beckham, and it's only if he makes one play. So, I don't understand what everybody's saying about their defense. Their defense is not that good. I'm sorry. You can bring up everything that you want. I don't think they did anything special against the Cowboys. I really don't. I think the Cowboys just played like absolute crap. They went away from their game plan. Everything else. Dak Prescott was terrible. That's the reason why the Giants won. Not because of their defense. Their defense was okay. But, for you to say that they're a great defense, they doubled, tripled Des Bryant. Don't even give me any of that crap. Ben Roethlisberger against the Cincinnati Bengals is also a sick. Dak Prescott against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the way that he's been playing, sit him. Phillip Rivers against the Oakland Raiders. Blake Bortles against the Houston Texans, and some bewares. Drew Brees against the Cardinals and Andy Dalton against the Steelers. We are going to go now to the running back position. The start of the week. Start him up. Carlos Hyde against the Atlanta Falcons. Hyde went nuts against the Jets last week, rushing for 193 yards with 1 touchdown while posting 26 fantasy points. He'll be in position to put up another solid effort in Week 15 against an Atlanta defense that has struggled against the run. In fact, their defense has allowed 16 total touchdowns and 21.2 points a game to running backs. Also, to start, LeGarrette Blount against the Denver Broncos, Latavius Murray against the San Diego Chargers, Jonathan Stewart against the Washington Redskins, Tevin Coleman against the San Francisco 49ers. Some sleepers to watch: Isaiah Crowell against the Bills and Kenneth Farrow against the Raiders. Sit of the week: Devontae Booker against the New England Patriots. Booker, listed as a sit-em for 2 straight weeks, has seen his value sink like the Titanic. Last week, he received 1 more snap and 4 fewer touches than off-the-street veteran Justin Forsett. If that weren't enough to keep him on the bench, then a matchup versus the Patriots, 15.7 fantasy points per game to running backs, should convince owners to sit him. Todd Gurley against the Seattle Seahawks, Mark Ingram against the Arizona Cardinals, Rashad Jennings against the Detroit Lions, Ryan Matthews against the Baltimore Ravens, and owners beware of Frank Gore against the Vikings and Theo Riddick against the Giants. Now we'll move over to the wide receiver position. Wide receivers to sit. Start of the week. Start of the week we'll start off with Devontae Adams against the Chicago Bears. Adams has gone from bust to superstar in less than a calendar year. He ranks 7th in fantasy points among wideouts, and his 9 touchdowns are tied for 4th most at the position with Odell Beckham Jr. As long as Aaron Rodgers is out there, Adams needs to be in your starting lineup for a good matchup in Chicago. Doug Baldwin is a start against the Rams. Steve Smith, a start against the Philadelphia Eagles. Taylor Gabriel against the 49ers. Tyreek Hill against the Tennessee Titans. Some sleeper watches. Dontrell Inman against the Raiders. And Adam Thielen against the Colts. Sit of the week, Brandon Marshall, as I was talking about before. I think the Jets should just ship him instead of sit him. This has nothing to do with the matchup, but everything to do with Bryce Petty. The inexperienced quarterback has quite the man crush on Robbie Anderson, who had a team-high 11 targets in last week's win over the 49ers. Marshall, on the other hand, had just 5 and 3.3 fantasy points. Marshall is too much of a risk this week. DeAndre Hopkins is a sit against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Julian Edelman against the Denver Broncos. Golden Tate against the Giants. Kelvin Benjamin against the Washington Redskins. And some owners beware of Allen Robinson against the Texans and Terrell Pryor against the Bills. We'll go off to the last but not least position, tight end, stardom, situm. The start of the week is Delaney Walker against the Kansas City Chiefs. Walker put up a 3.8 point stink bomb in last week's win over the Broncos, but the Titans threw the football a mere 20 times against the stout pass defense. That will change against the Chiefs, who have allowed the 6th most passing yards, 1,113 over the last 4 weeks. Look for Walker to rebound in what could be a high-scoring game. Greg Olsen against the Washington Redskins. Zach Ertz against the Baltimore Ravens. Kyle Rudolph against the Indianapolis Colts. Cameron Brate against the Dallas Cowboys. Some sleeper watches. Eric Ebron against the Giants and Ladarius Green against the Bengals. Sit of the week. Colby Fleener against the Arizona Cardinals. Fleener might rank 8th in fantasy points among tight ends, but he's not a worthwhile option ahead of this week's matchup in Arizona. The veterans' numbers have been worse than average on the road, and the Cardinals have surrendered just 1 touchdown and fewest fantasy points a game to opposing tight ends, 3.1 points per game this season. Dwayne Allen against the Minnesota Vikings. Gary Barnidge against the Bills. Dennis Pitta against the Philadelphia Eagles. C.J. Fedorowicz against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Some owner bewares. Martellus Bennett against the Broncos. And Jason Witten against the Buccaneers. So there you have it. Stardom Situm for Week 15. You can listen to me or you can't. Whatever you want to do, doesn't matter to me. I'm in the second round of the playoffs. Next, we have, I don't even know how many, but we'll be moving on. And hopefully I'll win. I'm going up against a guy that I've lost to twice this year. And it's really getting under my skin, and I think we have to win this week and move on. But also, we'll be moving on to next week. That will do it for Running Up the Score. Thank you for joining us. Today, we will be back next Wednesday talking sports once again. As I said, that will do it. I'm Jerry. Be breezy.
You've been listening to Running Up the Score on Zeno Radio.